Seat while we get started. Hope everybody had a great lunch. All right, thank you very much. We're about to get started with our second session of the ITS conference. I hope everyone, again, had a great time so far. I have the exciting responsibility of being upbeat after lunch. So we got this. There's coffee at the back corner. I'm supposed to also tell you about this slide. So, regarding the PowerPoint slide on the screen, the subcommittee chair of the new joint ITS Georgia and Georgia ITE Emerging Technologies Subcommittee, Joe Gillis, wants to invite to join those who want to participate in research and development of group conference and monthly meeting sessions and training in the areas of connected and autonomous vehicle technologies, electric vehicle infrastructure, and artificial intelligence applications in transportation. Please scan the QR code if you are interested. Go to your little camera setting and click on the link. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to go straight into our first speakers. It will be Chad Hendon and Brian Purvis on the subject of a data-driven approach for CHAMP performance. Chad works for the Department of Transportation in Georgia as the Transportation Management Center, TMC, Operations Manager and CHAMP Program Manager. He was originally hired as an ITS field coordinator and project coordinator and consistently promoted to the positions of increased responsibility, inclusive of TMC operations, ITS projects, and CHAMP program. Chad oversees all daily operations for the CHAMP program, including contract oversight, cross-departmental coordination, and emergency management response. Chad collaborates with cross-functional teams to include the Office of Information Technologies, IT, ITS Maintenance, SIGOPS, and HERO to facilitate efficient operations. Chad supports traffic incident management throughout the state of Georgia to command and control effective multi-agency and multidisciplinary emergency response to critical incidents. Chad develops and disseminates communications regarding CHAMP operations aligned with established departmental strategies and narratives. Chad establishes and maintains relationships with vendors, suppliers, key stakeholders, and the public. Along with Chad, Brian Purvis. Brian Purvis is a registered professional engineer with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from NC State University. Go Wolves. He is the former statewide traffic incident management engineer for NCDOT and now works for AECOM as a senior transportation operations engineer. He is the statewide project manager for GDOT's Coordinated Highway Assistance and Maintenance Program, CHAMP, also called CHAMP. There we go. You had it in there. That provides motorist assistance, response to crashes, clearance of debris, and roadway maintenance operations across the state of Georgia along interstates outside of Metro Atlanta. With that, I'll leave you the floor.
Good day, everybody. I'm Chad Hendon. Back forward. No? I ain't doing it. There you go. Okay. So we're gonna have a two-part to this. I'm gonna kick it off. Just giving y'all like a quick overview of the CHAMP program and our patrol limits and how we expand the program. Brian gonna get off into the performance monitoring, the safety monitoring of the program and stuff. So we basically started the program in 2017, had a $50 million budget. As you can see on the screen, the different responsibilities that we captured within the program itself. Was very critical about it that we do operate 365 days, you know, from 6 to 10:30 and everything after our response. So a lot of folks thinking that because we cut off at 10:30 that they don't have the after hour response, but we really do. So that's one of the big coordination things that we have to do with the locals and stuff. For our initial contract, the 5-year contract, it started, we had 16 original routes and everything. So when management came to me about the program, they were like, hey, you know, we want to kick this out in the rural area and everything with Champ. Got a question. How many of y'all actually know what Champ actually roles and duties are? Just you? You? I know TMC know. All right, okay, so, all right, so, but like I was saying, we started, we had 16 routes. Off the rip, we noticed that we needed to go ahead and add another route in the Macon area. So we had started with the Macon Triangle, made it 17. I say within what, like year 3, 4, we ended up getting out to 27 routes. And that's one of the things that the that GDOT management team asked me to do was, hey, grow the program, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, you know, how can I actually do that? So one of the things I started looking for was basically, you know, what can I get the data to actually help me achieve this and stuff like that. So just coordinating, going around, talking with the locals, talking with GDOT personnel, talking internal to my TMC side of the shop and stuff. You know, we started putting other information. So I want to just talk about this slide right quick with the expansion part. We just recently did this on our new contract, which is an 8-year contract, and we added an expansion part to it that actually covers now a much more deeper overlapping part with the hero units and stuff in the metro and stuff. So now we done went from 27 routes to actually 30, 35 routes. And this, like I say, it's a statewide project. We went from having actually 57 units. Now we're all the way up to 107 units that we got statewide and stuff like that. So here go one of the maps that we came up with, a heat map showing us the hot spots that we had outside the metro that, you know, that dealing with the stuff that we was like trying to target and showing us the corridors that actually had the most activity. So we kind of started getting a better mindset of where we need to start targeting our units and stuff and how we're gonna actually achieve the certain goals that we was looking for within the program and stuff. And this the map that I wanted to get to right here. It speaks a lot with the TMC staff. They help and everything. They was able to pull the gears data from our safety group and our navigator data, put it together and make us an actual heat map and showed us like every single commercial crash that occurred from 2013 to 2016. And it helped us really identify our target points on where we want to like actually focus our units and stuff with the program and everything. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pass over to Brian, let him talk about the other data.
So, thanks, Chad. So a lot of this stuff came up with how to design the patrol limits, the routes. So this information was really good to kind of set that benchmark. You know where the crashes are, you know where the commercial vehicle crashes are, on the critical corridors. So Chad basically looked at that and developed the limits for the program. Well, once you do that, that's great, but then nothing is set in stone. This is operations. You got to change with the times, you got to change with the activities out there on the roadway. So we started measuring performance to see, you know, the routes that we put in, how effective were they? With all this growth that was going on, we wanted to justify what we were doing, not just to GDOT, but to the traveling public. And then we've got other people that we were looking at. GDOT maintenance. You know, when we first started the program back in 2017, there was a little pushback internally. The locals, the maintenance offices were thinking, hey, we're coming in and taking their jobs. Now they're going, man, they take all the garbage. It says something else, but they took all the stuff that they didn't want. They didn't want the after-hour calls. They didn't want to go out there when they've got, you know, sections of roadway they're trying to maintain. They're out there pulling ditches, filling potholes, doing regular maintenance duties, and all of a sudden they get a call, there's a commercial vehicle crash or something going on out at the interstate. That's mission critical, so they'd have to stop what they were doing, pack everything up, get up their traffic control, get all their resources together, and then run out there. And then it's something that one guy in a pickup truck, which is Champ, could basically fix in 10 or 15 minutes. So we started taking over a lot of the dirty daily stuff to make them more efficient out there. So how do you measure this effectiveness? And that's where the metrics come in. So just at a high level, our data, and these are monthly reports that you can get access to. Just let us know if you want these. But we send these to public information offices, to the different district offices. Obviously, Chad looks at these things very intimately every month. But this is just a high level for the state. You can see the trend over the last 12 months that we're pretty consistently growing with the program. So in July last year, it was when we went from 27 routes to 35. So you can kind of see since that point we've grown. We're up to in number of stops. That's motorist assistance, tagging abandoned vehicles on the shoulder of the road, which you'll be amazed how many are out there outside of Atlanta, picking up debris, helping motorists out there with gas, tire changes, things like that, and then responding to crashes. We're up to about 28,000 stops a month. There's no other program in the entire nation that stops and helps the motoring public in the state of Georgia. Nobody competes with us anywhere in the country. So we break it down into individual performance, what kind of maintenance activities we're doing, how much debris we're picking up. We've actually had some of the districts that had regular debris contractors that were going out there and picking stuff up. They were actually able to not completely cancel those, but cut back drastically on them, because most of the stuff that's out there, tires, paint cans, and ladders, for the most part, those are things you can fit in the back of a pickup truck, and we actually haul them to debris to dump sites for DOT. So that keeps those roadways outside of Atlanta, looking clean and not like a third world country. The crashes, and I'll show you a stat between us and the Hero unit, we don't respond to a lot of crashes. For the most part, people drive pretty sane out there, but every once in a while when something happens, we don't have the real estate that you have in Metro Atlanta. We typically have 2 lanes in each direction, and that's it. Commercial vehicle crash, you pretty much lost that roadway. So we're out there trying to coordinate, but we're breaking our stats down to the lowest level for the district offices, for 6 of the 7 districts out there, to let them know exactly what we're doing. So this is just one district. Just to give you an example, it's about 3,000. This is District 3, so basically centered around Thomaston. This is 75 south of Atlanta to Florida, a little piece of I-16, the Macon Triangle, and then you've got 85 and 185. So about 3,000 of those incidents happen in that area every month. So we break it down to a lower level so they can kind of see what we're responding to, how much of their work we're taking off of their hands so they can do other things. Incident response. This is typically what every safety service patrol in the country puts out there. What's your detection time to when do you get out there? What's your arrival times? How long does it take to clear things? For the most part, we find everything. It's pretty rare that somebody calls in and says there's a crash. We typically roll up on it, especially the motoring public. They can call 511 and let dispatch know. The TMC has gotten very, very efficient. They have apps like Carbine where they can actually ping your cell phone and tell our drivers exactly where that motorist is. So we're using technology to zero in on these things, but we're validating that technology with our data to look at our performance. Our average response time when we find out about something is 1 minute. And that's basically because 95% of what we find out there, we find on the roadway. It's rare that somebody dispatches us to something. Our time on scene, less than 7 minutes on average. We drive that down. It used to be 12 to 14 minutes, but we've looked at the things that we're doing. We've added new tools. We've added new technologies, new training to try to drive that time down, because every minute, every second that we're out there, for every minute that you're blocking an interstate, or every 4 minutes? No, every minute you're blocking it, it's a 4-minute delay that you're adding to the motoring public, and a 2.8% chance that there's going to be a secondary incident for every minute that we're out there. So minutes matter when we're doing this stuff. We're definitely trying to take the data and justify what we're doing, and then making sure that it's paying off. When we do go to especially these big incidents, lane clearance, they're usually about an hour. Commercial vehicle crashes, the goal is 90 minutes, so we're far under that. The sooner we can get the travel lanes open, the safer it is for everybody. And it may take us a little bit longer to get the road completely cleared, but if we can get travel lanes open, you know, that's our end game, is to keep that traffic moving efficiently. Because let's be honest, when you guys drove here, once you got out of Atlanta, you went on cruise control and mind control. You were listening to the radio, you kind of zone out. We go into zombie mode because you don't have an expectation of stop and go traffic once you get out of the big urban areas. So we have to focus heavily on this to get that Vision Zero goal in place to stop secondary crashes and definitely stop these fatalities out on the roadway. So we take it all the way down to the operator level. So every one of our operators knows exactly what their performance is every month. They know, you know, we don't sit there and write them because, again, it's a fluid environment. They're not making widgets. They're not, you know, moving boxes. They're dealing with the traveling public. They're dealing with different road conditions, different weather conditions. But we do have goals for them. Our goals are, we want you to stop at least 1.5 times an hour. It's a goal that we put in basically from a safety standpoint. It started at 1 minute. Then we started measuring how long, you know, how many times they were stopping. It doesn't matter if somebody works, you know, 100 hours a month and somebody else works 200 hours a month. The guy that worked 200 hours is going to have twice as many stops. So we try to normalize our data so we can really match people up. But the purpose of doing this, who had a 4-hour drive here to come to this conference? 2? Okay, after 2 hours, when you jumped out of the vehicle, did you feel the atrophy? We all age about a couple of years when we drive. You drive for 8 hours and get out of your vehicle, that's the worst job you can have. Long distance truckers, I don't know how they do it. But if you drive a couple of hours, when you get out, you feel your body constrict. You feel everything tighten up. You need to get out, keep that blood circulating, especially in a job like this that has safety components. You're dealing with live traffic. You don't want to drive for 4 hours and then try to jump out and go get a piece of debris out of the roadway because of atrophy. It's a safety concern. So we look at all of our metrics with an end game in mind of keeping the traffic safe, but more importantly, keep our own people safe. Dispatch trends, so dispatch, they're very fluid in their operations also. They take over for different districts. So all the color coding on here is basically how much time do you spend, how many stops are you taking. So again, if we're doing 28,000 stops in a month, think about the poor dispatcher. We don't just call and tell them what we're doing, and then that's it. Before we ever step out of the truck, we communicate with dispatch. Let them know where we're at, what we're about to do, what the conditions are. We give them all that information. Then once we get done, we call and let them know we're back in service. This is what we've completed. So if we do 28,000 stops, they're probably doing 3 or 4 times that in communications back and forth. And they're recording all of that information, which is critical to us because all of that data then gets dumped into these reports so we can analyze and look at what's going on out there. So you have to right-size dispatch just like you have to right-size the champ operators in the field. So from a performance standpoint, you know, Chad and I have had conversations. Next to the people out there on the champ program, the next critical thing is our truck. If a truck breaks down and is not operational, he's not going to pay us to walk out there with a gas can and a tire iron up and down the shoulder of the interstate, you know, helping motorists. So we have to keep our fleet going. 107 trucks plus management vehicles, so we're probably about 120 vehicles total. Keeping those operational at all times, 24/7, 365. The management of that is critical. So we've got a couple of different software packages that we look at, but we've literally had a F-250 long bed extended cab vehicle with a gas engine reach 500,000 miles. So we can push these vehicles if you maintain them properly. That's just one. I wish I could do that with all of them in this environment, but you really can't. But you know, to have that big of a fleet and that big of a staff all available 24/7, 365, you've got to have a lot of data to back up what you're doing and keep things going. So we look at a lot of monthly trends. Just from each one of these colors is one of the 6 districts. So we're looking at what's going on from a month-to-month basis, and even breaking it down on a daily basis to see what the trends are. And then if there's anomalies, we go back and look at it. Was it a weather situation? You'll always notice District 1 has less stops per hours because I-85 is perpetually under construction. They've got a lot of work going on, so there's less real estate to operate in. So we look at all the anomalies, days of the week, month by month, and then kind of take note of these things and keep that, because it's a process, it's reoccurring. You know, what happens this month, if it's certain weather conditions, certain times of day, something happens, you know you can be predictive and start looking at these datas and these trends and figuring out, you know, what's coming next, and be on the forefront. So we look at our highlights. Our staff, when they go out every week, you know, we have safety briefings, we have safety messages. We also have maintenance goals for them. So every week we'll go out and we're looking ahead and analyzing things like weather patterns. If we know it's going to rain, we'll have the week in advance of it, we'll have everybody out doing drainage investigations, making sure all the storm drains are clear, flowing properly. You don't want to be reactive and wait for a flooded roadway where people are hydroplaning. If you want to get to target to Vision Zero, you've got to be proactive, and the data is what drives that proactivity. So again, the freeway assistance, just to kind of give you an idea of the yin and yang, this is the first program of its type in the country. There was no template for a purely rural incident management program like CHAMP. So, you know, I applaud GDOT for having the guts to go out there and do this. We started small, we went incrementally and grew this program. You know, now it's over 8 years that you know, we've put this together, but it's an exponential growth from 16 routes to 35. That's a huge growth. I know no other program that's grown that fast either. But again, you know, the HERO program, best in the country, most established here before the Olympics, has done amazing things. Federal Highways looks at that as a benchmark that they kind of gauge all the other service patrols around the country. They're doing about 5,500 stops per month. Their stuff is a whole lot different than ours. They're dealing with 6 and 8 lanes in each direction. They're dealing with mainly commercial vehicle traffic mixed with really crazy commuter traffic. Their crashes tend to linger on longer and take up more real estate. And it's critical from a congestion standpoint. But then you go to ours and we're doing 28,000 stops a month. Every little thing that we do, every piece of debris is a chance to cause a secondary crash, a commercial vehicle crash, side swipes, running off the road crashes. Every abandoned vehicle out there is a target. So we look at every little piece of these things as an opportunity to make it safer for the motoring public. So, you know, we focus very heavily on these stats. We tell our guys what we want you to focus on and continually drive performance. And again, this is just a daily chart. That's one of the interesting things about this. You can see the lighter color green, those are your weekends. We don't take a day off. Even on the weekends, there's not as much commuter traffic as in your, you know, Savannah area and your Macons and stuff like that. But you still have, you know, a lot of congestion that happens and a lot of motorists out there that need assistance. So if you're looking at statewide, 49,000 events, 48,900 events total that the Atlanta TMC staff is managing, 28,000 of those are CHAMP. So we are the majority of what's going on out there. I don't think any of us envisioned that we would have that big of an impact in the state of Georgia. So a big thing, you know, we don't just go out there and do the same thing. It's always changing. The environment, you know, COVID was a crazy time for us. Some of the things we really started focusing on from an efficiency standpoint was our training. This is really important because you got to do things the right way. You got to be consistent because a motorist doesn't care if he's going from Alabama through Atlanta down to Florida. you know, we should all be giving people, motorists, the same kind of information. They shouldn't have to guess, you know, well, in Alabama, they do it this way with the ASAP program, or Tennessee with the HELP program, or HERO and CHAMP. We got to be consistent in our messaging, how we're applying our traffic control, how we're clearing debris. So we focus very heavily with training. With our learning management system, we're tracking every operator's individual performance, his knowledge base, what he's doing, and making sure that he's a professional out there on the roadway. Because the biggest adversary that we have out there on the roadway, and I hope I'm not speaking, anybody a lawyer in here? That's our biggest adversary. And this is the first thing they want to see is, what is your training? How does that match up with the national standards? What is your performance? You know, how did this guy do? Was he good or bad? I can tell you, I got 107 operators, and every one of them's good. If he's bad, he's out the door, and this is how you justify that. So we're monitoring everything from our percentage of coverage of the routes. We have scheduling software in place. People can easily go to their cell phone, swap shifts, move things around, and we can keep track of that efficiently. We're also documenting all of our meetings, recording all of our teams meetings on a weekly basis. It's open conversations, so our people have the ability to talk to management every single week. And then the after-action reviews. I know Catherine Johnson's in here somewhere, and she took this to another level. I used to do the old go to the internet and find the crash and take some cool pictures off and put the timeline on there, and then we'd talk about it. She goes in, looks at RIDIS, gets the congestion, the user delay cost. I mean, because when you're doing after-action reviews of major critical crashes, to get the lessons learned, there's people out there, there's county commissioners, there's, you know, government officials. They want to know what the impact was to their area. And who lives in Henry County, McDonough area? Now they got some tough folks down there. They have high standards, and they look at this kind of information because they're a public servant just like the rest of us. They're out there trying to protect life and property, move traffic efficiently and safely, and this justifies why you put these programs in there. So doing this on especially these major events and seeing, you know, did we do good or did we do bad? How much congestion was out there? How much congestion did we save in the things that we did? And then what were the benefits in what we did, or what can we do better? So again, they're not just pulling a couple of slides from the news media. They're getting stuff from the ATMS software system, 911 centers. We've actually called 911 and got their dispatch logs, figured out who showed up where and what order. Again, the pictures and videos are great, especially for debriefing. Social media. Man, you can find out a lot just by seeing what the public's saying about your incident that you're managing, because ultimately that's who we're serving, is the public. So getting their feedback, they'll tell you if you did right or wrong, right? No news is good news, but when they'll flood that internet, you know you got to do better. And again, the RIDIS, if you want to see somebody that can do that on another level, that's Catherine. So yeah, there you are. From a performance standpoint, again, we're measuring everything. And I'll tell you, this stuff has come up in legal battles before, and I'm happy to put my people in front of a jury because I trust them. And the only reason I trust them is because I know what they're doing, I know they know how to do it, and I can prove it and substantiate it with the documentation that we've got out there. So with that being said, the biggest thing that we focus on is safety. Not just the motoring publics, but our own staff. So to make sure they've got a safe and efficient vehicle, you know, we've got tracking for that to make sure they're maintaining the vehicles properly. You don't get about 400,000 miles on a vehicle on average without proper maintenance procedures, making sure these things are safe. The last thing we want to be is broke down on the side of the road calling for another CHAMP operator or having it on the truck bed on a tow truck. That is not our end goal. One of the biggest things that we've added to our arsenal is Verizon Reveal tracking software. We use it for dispatch, but it's kind of taking it to another level, and I'll talk about that. Another initiative we're looking at is Haas Alert. I'll talk about that, but Even our operators, they have to put in a system, safety observations every month, near misses. They literally pull over, find a safe place to park, and they'll enter in if somebody cut them off. If somebody's riding down the road texting and driving, people just doing crazy things, we track that. We have a statewide database that we look at, or actually a national database. We pull all these things, and we're looking for trends and things out there so we can turn it into training and make sure these guys are keeping their attention focused. So again, the Verizon Reveal tracking system, that was a game changer. We know exactly where every operator is, what direction they're going. I even know how fast they're going. It's got artificial intelligence built into it. I can literally tell that thing, if you notice somebody not wearing a seatbelt in my truck, it sends an email to their supervisor and our safety manager. If they've got the phone up, supervisor, safety manager, we can tell if they're using their cell phone while they're driving, because guess what? It's against the law. And how can we judge others when, you judge yourself first? So it's actually, and if they're going down the road, going home at night, and a deer runs out and they have to jam on the brakes, it's got the gyroscopes and everything in the tracking system. It tells you hard braking, hard acceleration, jerking that wheel. We analyze these things. If a deer runs out in front of you, that's a non-avoidable. So we don't hit them with that. So the next time a deer runs out, I can go through and teach the system, ignore these types of incidents. And it'll learn that and ignore them. So we actually put safety scores. Everybody knows what they're doing. If they have low safety scores because they're braking and accelerating, we'll go and look at the video and then show them the video and say, look, there's a piece of debris on the shoulder of the road. You don't have to jam on the brakes for that because it causes turbulence with the traffic behind you. You don't want to create disruptions. Mark it mentally, circle, come back around, and do it in a safe and efficient manner. So we actually use this with the video analytics to make it safer for our drivers and the traveling public. So we can see if they've got high-speed events, harsh driving maneuvers, overall scores for the individual drivers, for the district. And we actually put incentives on the guys to do better. Not disincentives. Disincentives are you're going to have to listen to us whine and complain, and you're going to have to get additional training, but there are incentives to keep these things going. And this is just an example where a motorist comes out, you see the guy kind of brace up. He's probably giving him the beep beep, the friendly, that was dumb, not the long horn hold that, basically is the curse words. But we see these things all day, every day. You guys, how many times do you have to hit your brakes because somebody out there is doing something stupid? Now, put the kind of mileage that we put on there. We're putting over 500,000 miles on our fleet, every month, a month. That's a lot of time out there with the motoring public. You see a lot of really interesting things. And then other data that we're pulling. So 511 and Waze. Who has the 511 app on their phone? Who has Waze? All right, so it's about 50%. These are very useful apps. You're not supposed to use your phone, but these things are letting you know things in advance. So we actually utilize Waze going up and down the roadway because the motoring public is telling us if there's debris in the roadway, if there's motorists broke down. We're not even having to find the needle in the haystack. The public is telling us. It's on the 511 system. It's actually integrated. You can toggle that on and off and see Waze events. So our staff are using this data to actually be more efficient out there on the roadway and safer. I would rather know there's a motorist on the right shoulder or say on the left shoulder. We patrol in the right lane. If somebody's on the left shoulder and they're telling me, a mile in advance via Waze, the operator can start working his way over in a safe progression, not looking and going, oh crap, there he is, and hitting the shoulder. So we're always looking for means to make our program safer. We just signed a purchase order with Haas Alert. Who's heard of that group? So that's a neat system. They're integrated with Waze. So basically, every time my operator hits his strobe lights, which is 29,000 times a month, it's pushing a notice to the oncoming motorist champ ahead, move over, slow down for emergency vehicles. It gets that move over message out there. It's safer for us, but it puts that message out there. We put it up on our message board, but by the time they see it visually, it's too late. And if they're not looking up, if they're already looking at their phone, about half of you have Waze. If you're using that and it puts that message up, hey, I just got one distracted driver, that information before he comes up on that scene, not after. So it's a big safety message out there and a big safety initiative. So we're in the process of implementing this on every one of our fleet out there. The cool thing about it is it actually, they have analytics that they send back to us, more data. So now we got to add another page to our report to figure out what to use it for. But, you know, Dr. Gwynn's presentation earlier, that's something we want to try to add into it, that move over message. We want to actually try to figure out, are people following that message? Is it more effective? So again, you got to get the data in to get the answers out. So that's just a big overview of some of the data that the CHAMP program is utilizing now. So we're going to wait until the end for questions. Okay. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chad. With that, I do recommend everyone just stand up, stretch a little bit. You know, it's after lunch. We got to get that blood flowing. I'm not going to do the Catherine level of stretching, but just move around. Feel free to get some coffee. Feel free to stand about while I present our next speakers. Nice. Feels good. All right, I'll start introducing our next speakers on the topic of Georgia DOT's Automated Work Zone Management AWZM System Program, presented by Christina Berry and Christopher Gallien II. Christina Berry has served the Georgia Department of Transportation for 12 years and is currently the Assistant State Traffic Engineer. She manages GDOT's active traffic management components for Georgia's freeways, including TMC operations and ITS infrastructure. Christina previously served as the District 6 Traffic Engineer for Northwest Georgia. She graduated from the Georgia Institute of Technology and received her bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering. Along with Christina, we have Chris Gallien, PE, is a traffic operations ITS team leader and project engineer with HNTB. He earned his bachelor's degree from Louisiana State University and master's degree in civil engineering from Kennesaw State University. Chris has nearly 7 years of professional experience with background in traffic operations, analysis and modeling, ITS, safety, and aviation. His primary focus is HNTB, is assisting clients as a project manager with traffic operations, safety, and ITS projects. Chris is a licensed professional engineer in the state of Georgia. And with that, I give him the floor. Thank you very much.
I've lost the pointer, if you guys can get it back. So good afternoon. Again, my name is Christina Berry. It's back. Cool. Thank you. This is Chris Gallien, and today we'll be presenting on the Automated Work Zone Management System, which is abbreviated AWZM, or as we like to call it, the Awesome System. Here's the agenda for our presentation. We'll go over the team that was assembled to work on this project, provide an overview of the current process and the improvement opportunities, and then shift the presentation to talk about the Awesome System. This slide shows the team that we assembled to work on this project. We've coordinated with several folks within various GDOT offices and departments for the work completed to date and the future work, which we'll discuss in later slides. Shown here are the main groups, including the GDOT offices of traffic operations, TMC staff, construction, utilities, and maintenance, and the 7 districts spread throughout the state. Additionally, HNTB has been providing support as our traffic operations consultant on the project. They've supported with developing operational concepts, developing user needs and system requirements, and with conducting a series of stakeholder interview meetings to capture feedback on current processes and to develop user needs. And I would like to take a few minutes just to talk about our stakeholder process. So we did go through and talk to the stakeholders that use the traffic interruption request process, or TIRs. And we found through that process that there were some low-hanging fruit of improvements that we could make fairly quickly, because there were some fairly major issues that we could address fairly quickly. And so we have done that. So if you haven't submitted a TIR recently, I would really encourage you to check out the new form. You want to make sure that you are filling out the new form. There's some directions on the website that tell you how to fill out that form. And then the process that I'll be talking about deals with the new form and kind of the interim updates that we made to just kind of quickly address some of the issues that we saw. So in this slide, we'll step through GDOT's current process for requesting road closures, highlighting many of the manual steps currently used. So the first step, it starts with the project staff, and they coordinate with a GDOT contact to complete a traffic interruption request, or TIR form. And this form is needed anytime somebody is doing authorized work within the right-of-way that requires either a lane closure or a shoulder closure. We need to make sure that we get these forms approved and submitted, because we want to make sure that we're messaging that people are out there, because we want to keep both the contractor working safe, and then we want to keep the traveling public safe as well. The TIRs are Word documents that are downloaded and populated to provide the information for the TMC to develop response plans, which alert the public of upcoming closures. This is to ensure the public and those working in the construction zones can remain safe. So once they fill out the TIR form, they submit it to their GDOT contact, and the GDOT contact reviews the form and either approves it or rejects it. And I would just note here that this is one of the interim updates that we made, just clarifying that your GDOT contact needs to be somebody, in the district who's familiar with the project. We have had issues with, people just putting, not knowing who their GDOT contact is, or, whatever. When in doubt, it's the area manager, but just making sure that the districts are being brought into the process and aware of what's going on in their areas. So they submit it to the GDOT contact. If it's approved, the form is emailed to the ATMS operator at the TMC, who then enters the information into Navigator, which is GDOT's ATMS. And then an event is created within the ATMS to store the closure information. And this next part is really important. So the closure's been approved, it's been entered. When you're ready to do the work, the contractor needs to call the TMC to confirm start of work. And this is another issue that we've seen. Start of work is when the first person goes out in the road to do anything. So it's not when you start doing your maintenance work or whatever you're doing, it's when the first person goes out there to set a cone. That's when we need to know that you're out there, because we need to be messaging to the motoring public so that they know to expect a work zone coming up. And then finally, so once the call has been made to the TMC, we have public notification. Once events are entered and activated within the ATMS, the response plans are live, and the closure data is shared with Waze and Georgia 511 to inform the public about the road closure. And I would note, we also have a project for work zone data exchange, and so in future, this closure data will also be shared with the work zone data exchange, which maps data into a unified format that can be shared with other states and jurisdictions. So we have a project for that, but it's somewhat dependent on our ATMS, so it's been on hold for just a little bit. So if you noticed in the previous slide, there's a lot of manual touch points in this process. I have to download a form, I have to fill it out, I have to email it to somebody, we have to email it to the TMC. And so the desire is to sort of automate this and help the process work a little bit more smoothly and reduce the opportunity for error in the process. So these and other improvement opportunities led to the development of the AWESOM system concept. So the improvement opportunity stemmed from, like I talked about, the lack of automation. Communication breakdowns was a really big one. So not all stakeholders were made aware of closures prior to activation, and this is something that was really brought up when we talked to the districts. They weren't always being made aware when a closure was active in their area. They noted scenarios where an active closure took place without a TIR in place, or without the closure being called in. They also noted scenarios where closures took place outside of the approved timeframe from the TIR. And there was also just a lot of confusion about who was approving the TIR, because a lot of contractors thought that they could just fill it out, send it to the TMC. If the TMC processed it, then it was approved. And actually, they were skipping the step of you need to get it approved, and once it's approved, you send it to the TMC, because the TMC operators are entering the information, they're not approving it. And so we really made a concerted effort to try to make sure that the districts are being brought in as that approval node. And then some of the districts even said that they had some issues with contractors that requested a TIR. They told them no, that they couldn't have a TIR for whatever reason they had. And so they would submit it to the TMC anyways and see if the TMC would process it, and then tell the district, well, we got it approved. And no, you actually didn't get it approved. And so that was why we kind of wanted to clarify that process a little bit. So limited coordination to prevent and identify conflicts. So we don't really have any efficient way in the current system to identify closures that may be near each other or that overlap or conflict. It's just kind of a manual checkpoint there. And then also the fourth thing was inaccurate data being submitted, since no authentication mechanisms exist. So, somebody submitting a form with an inaccurate GDOT contact, we've had them submitted, with their GDOT contact being Alan Davis, but if he doesn't know who you are or what you're doing, he's probably not your GDOT contact. So just making sure that, we're having accurate data submitted. And then also, since the information is submitted through a Word document, there's no way to redirect inaccurate data from being submitted. So now I will pass it to Chris to talk about the AWESOM system.
Thank you, Christina. Awesome job. So get used to hearing awesome throughout the presentation. It's a whole thing. So we was planning to get shirts, but we kind of ran out of time. I see a lot of people from AECOM and the operations floor, HNTB. Like Christina mentioned, it was a very collaborative effort to date for even the interim steps that we've made so far. So I'll start to kind of walk us through the AWESOM system itself. So as mentioned in previous slides, there exists a need for an automated system. So if you notice in Christina's slides before, a lot of manual touch points, a lot of human interaction with the system. So in this future system that we're kind of envisioning, it'll be online and accessible through a mobile device and a computer. It'll supply accurate and timely planned road closure event. And we really want this system to improve safety, right? So we want to make sure that the traveling public are made aware of work zone events, anything that impacts the roads before it actually happens. So we want to be able to enhance work zone planning, coordination, safety, and mobility. So one of the biggest features of the automated system that we're working on is a routing mechanism, right? So like Christina mentioned, I think she's even had situations where her name was shown on a TIR, right? And so we want to make sure that things like that don't happen. And so the system that we're envisioning, it'll be able to take the information that's inputted and route it automatically to whoever needs to review it and approve it. So we'll talk through that some more in some of the next slides. So once the request is approved, it'll be routed to the ATMS system. And so right now, the way the current process works, the TMC operators, and I know I see some out there, they'll appreciate this, they have to take the TIR form and then manually transfer it into the ATMS system. And so that can leave room for errors. And so in the future system, it'll actually automatically route the TIR once it's been approved into the ATMS. So I know this is probably hard to read, so I'm gonna kind of walk through this process flow. So a lot of what is shown on this diagram will happen in the background, but essentially a contractor that's doing work within GDOT roads will go in and they'll put in all their closure information, which we'll show in some next slides. It'll get routed to the approver or reviewer, and now instead of them having to spend a lot of time looking at a form, they can quickly look at it and just press a button and approve it. And then it automatically again routes it to the ATMS, and then all they have to do is just click a button to process it. So it just removes a lot of the manual touch points, a lot of documents, and like Christina said, without an authentication tool in place, you can put anything on a Word document. And so we're trying to set up the AWESOM system in a way where it's authentication throughout the entire process. And so, like she mentioned, the only thing that'll come to the TMC is approved road closure requests. So they'll no longer get a random email from a Hotmail account that says contractor@hotmail.com. It'll all be official and it'll all be approved. and they'll be able to submit it through the ATMS. And so the ATMS then feeds that data to the public. So all the dynamic message signs that you see, all of the alerts that you get on your phone, all of that is funneled through the ATMS system. So we've talked about the system kind of conceptually, but we actually put some time in creating some mock-ups. So this is not the end-all be-all, but it's just a way to kind of visualize what the awesome system could look like. So if you notice, we have it on an iPhone, we have it on a desktop. And so the idea is that a contractor can actually leverage this system out in the field. They don't have to be at a computer, they don't have to download a Word document, they can have all of this on the go. And so the next set of slides will kind of walk through what the system could look like. So we basically took the existing form and we digitized it and we developed some mock-ups based off that. So the first screen, they'll go in and put their location, and we want the awesome system to be intuitive. So we don't show it here, but we want it to have a mapping feature where you can go in, drop a needle from where you start, drop a needle to where you end, and then it pre-populates all the location information. So then next, you can add your scheduled closure timing. So you could put the time that you plan to be on the road. And like Christina said, that's actually when you're in the road, like as soon as you set a cone, that's the start time that you would put. So we can alert the public of when road closures will be happening. And then this is where like most of the information is housed within the road closure request. So the type of closure, whether it's for a utility project, a maintenance project, a construction project, and we wanted this tool to be something that's usable for any type of road closure. So it could be a road race, it can be some type of motorcade, but anything that's going to impact traffic, the awesome system wants to process that road closure request. So you'll step through all the data fields, and then it'll have authentications in place to make sure you're not trying to take all lanes on 75-85 connector at 5 a.m. It won't let you do that, right? And so we just want to make sure on the front end that nothing's being submitted that will end up being rejected. And so this is where you put your contact information. So most projects that contractors are doing, they have a contact that they typically interact with, and so they could put that there. And then in addition to that contact, the system will route it as well to those that might need to interact with the TIR or with the road closure request. When we met with the districts, there were certain limits that they had in place that required the district engineer to actually look at that closure request. And so we want to be able to put that logic into the tool, so if it's a higher level request, it gets routed to the appropriate person to approve it. And then that's pretty much the end of the process. So you've submitted your road closure request. There's obviously more screens that get shown after this, but it'll then get routed through the approval process. So somebody at GDOT, they'll look at the request, they'll approve it, and then it'll go into the ATMS system. So we've made some initial steps to the current process. So you've noticed we said TIRs, right? So traffic interruption requests. But in the future system, we're calling it road closure requests, just to kind of transition from the form to an actual request that happens online. And so GDOT is actually developing an interim step to the full awesome system that you saw in previous slides. And so the next step is to make interim improvement process, including digitizing the form and allowing a level of routing the digitized form based on the GDOT contacts listed. And so this is currently being worked on by GDOT. We don't have an exact timeline on when this will happen, but the initial goal is to remove a Word document and allow that to happen online. So I'll turn things back over to Christina to talk through some of the conclusions in the next slides.
All right, so to conclude the presentation, we'll discuss the overall value added to the transportation network, which you can see on the screen. So first up, we have improved communication from stakeholders, leading to better coordination and road closure contacts. And so we're making sure that everybody who needs to be aware is aware of the road closure requests. Advanced notice of closures to the public, yielding increased awareness of work zone locations, resulting in increased safety, as drivers can be aware of the work zones and plan their daily commutes accordingly. So that's really important. And then just making people aware when they're out on the road, to be more careful, because at the end of the day, what we really want is for everybody to go home to their family, both the traveling public and the employees that are working out on the roadway. And then third, improved work zone safety. Ultimately, the implementation of the automated work zone and road closure management system contributes to an overall improvement in work zone safety for construction personnel working within the roadway. And so our hope is that these improvements will make the transportation network safer through a system that is truly awesome.
Popular music.
And you can't hear
Oh
it.
my gosh, I love this song.
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when we're part of the team. Everything is awesome. When we're living our dream.
Always use a turn signal. Park between the lines.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Chris. Again, we'll hold all questions till the end. And now we are heading into our third and final presentation of our second session. This will be with Sultan Ali. He will be presenting on South Dade's Bus Rapid Transit Initiative. Sultan Ali is a traffic and ITS engineer with CHA Consulting. He holds a PhD in civil engineering with a specialization in transportation engineering from Florida International University. Currently, Sultan supports the Florida Department of Transportation's District 6 on the I-395 Miami Signature Bridge Work Zone project. He also assists Miami-Dade County Traffic Signals and Signs Division with the South Dade Rapid Transit Project. Throughout his career, Sultan has undertaken and overseen numerous contracts and projects for municipalities, counties, and state DOTs, applying his experience in transportation systems management and operations, or TSMO. He also traffic operations, intelligent transportation systems, ITS, connected and automated vehicles, CAV, emerging transportation technologies, traffic simulations, and transportation safety. Mouthful. As a researcher, Sultan has contributed to high-quality research for local, state, and federal transportation agencies, resulting in numerous peer-reviewed journal publications and conference presentations. Beyond his technical work, Sultan serves as the vice president of the South Florida section of ITE, where he fosters a culture of collaboration, innovation, knowledge, sharing, and mentoring among transportation professionals. Thank you, Sultan. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, thank you all for joining this session. It's the second session of this wonderful conference. Today I'm going to be talking about South Dade's Bus Rapid Transit Initiative. So this is a project of Florida, and it's in Miami-Dade County in Miami. So the presentation overview for today is I'll go over a very brief background, followed by the SMART program, South Dade Transitway, BRT station, BRT operations, BRT overall communications, and conclude with conclusion. Before I move along with this presentation, I just want to quickly give a recap of what we at CHA do. CHA is an innovative full-service engineering, design, consulting, and program management firm providing a wide range of technology-enhanced services to public, private, and institutional clients. We are focused on delivering sustainable integrated solutions to the world's most challenging infrastructure projects across utilities, water, transportation, and other critical commercial and industrial end markets. We offer comprehensive solutions from airport terminals and runways, intelligent traffic solutions, innovative bridge design, roads, highways, intersections, and roundabouts, and engineering inspection and maintenance of critical infrastructure. So now moving back to my presentation. So continuous population growth has caused traffic congestion to be one of the primary concerns of economic development. Traffic congestion results in increased travel cost and duration, increased energy and fuel consumption, and increased environmental pollution. While transportation agencies strive to develop transportation systems that provide both mobility and safety benefits, with the ever-increasing demand for people and goods, traffic congestion continues to rise on the nation's transportation network. As a result, agencies have begun to explore traffic management strategies that encourage the use of public transportation, such as bus rapid transit. So bus rapid transit has been implemented all across the globe, right? Starting from Asia, Africa, Europe, Latin America, North America. Here in the US, in large metropolitan cities like New York, Los Angeles, Boston, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Las Vegas, and Miami. BRT is also gaining traction in mid-sized metropolitan cities like Minneapolis, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Hartford, and Richmond in Virginia. So talking about the SMART program, the SMART program is essentially the Strategic Miami Area Rapid Transit Program. This is advancing 5 rapid transit corridors that will expand and enhance Miami-Dade County's public transit infrastructure. It is the implementation of a vision for the region that is both strategic and far-reaching, creating a system of multi-transportation option by leveraging existing infrastructure and integrating technology at the highest level. So for the SMART program, 5 rapid transit corridors were selected, which are the Beach Corridor, the East-West Corridor, Kendall Corridor, Northeast Corridor, and South Dade Transitway. So this project that I'm talking is about the South Dade Transitway. As you can see in the picture, the red line, that is the corridor. It's a 20-mile length of corridor from Dadeland South Metro Station to Southwest 344th Street Park and Ride Facility in Florida City. It covers 5 municipalities from Village of Pinecrest to Village of Palmetto Bay, Town of Cutler Bay, City of Homestead, and City of Florida City. One of the key features of this project is they're using high-speed electric buses throughout. Some of the other configuration of this project is, again, as I said, it is a total 20 miles in length. It has 105 traffic controllers, out of which 46 controllers are on fiber optics, 59 controllers are wireless. We have 46 busway crossing, a total of 113 intersections, out of which 46 are busway intersections, and 37 are adjacent intersections. So essentially, adjacent intersection is the intersection which is just beside the busway. And then you have 30 impacted intersections. Impacted intersections are the one which are 300 feet from the busway. We have a total of 32 local bus stops and 14 new BRT stations. So one of the features of this project, which makes this project really unique, is we have gate arms, very similar to the rail transit. So we have 92 gate arms for this project. We have 92 video vehicle detection cameras at busways, and for the adjacent corridor, we have 88 video vehicle detection cameras, and a total of 20 miles of fiber. So again, BRT is a high-quality bus-based rapid transit system designed to deliver fast, efficient, and reliable public transportation. It combines the speed and reliability of rail transit with the flexibility and lower cost of bus transit. Some of the key features of the BRT system is it has dedicated lanes, it gives priority at intersections, it has frequent bus service, high-capacity vehicle, modern station, improved fare collection, and efficient route design. Okay, some of the benefits of BRT deployment, it has travel time reliability, it decreases delays at, especially control delays, it improves bus travel speed, improves bus and other vehicle travel time, and enhances transit service. Now here, if you see in this blue box, when I was doing this presentation, I was just thinking, what are some of the key points that I can talk to you guys about and tell you from this project? How can this project impact in terms of transit reliability, transit safety, environmental sustainability, and does it promote transit use? How about its impact to the local economy? So we'll see this blue box again towards the end of the presentation, and we'll go over these points again. So moving on to the BRT station, so this is how the BRT station is going to be looking like once the project is complete. It has level boarding throughout all corridors, all doors, center platform loading. It has Wi-Fi inside the stations, CCTV cameras and 24-hour security, improved lighting, real-time bus arrival display, ADA compliant platform. This project, along this project, there are multiple park and ride facilities, but also part of this project, they're building a multi-level park and ride facility at Southwest 168th Street, which is going to have an approximately of 645 parking spaces. It has advanced parking management system, direct connection to the BRT station, which is just below, and also facilities for bicycle storage and EV charging. So these park and ride facilities are really going to help the people, to make it easier for them to go to work. Let's say, one day we have park and ride facility all along the corridor, and this park and ride facility is towards the southern part of the project. So if someone from the southern part, they want to drive to the downtown, and today, let's say they don't want to drive, they can park their vehicle, take the bus, and go to downtown, and go to work. Now, you might be asking me a question. So once they reach downtown, how are they going to go to work? They have to get to an Uber or taxi or something, right? So now they're coming up with something called micro-transit, which is going to connect you from the station to your workplace. Okay, moving on to classification. So in terms of vehicles and in terms of geometry. So in terms of vehicles, we have three kinds of vehicles which are going to be using this facility. We have express buses, local buses, and authorized vehicle. Express buses, they're going to have fewer stops, and they're going to get preemption. Local buses, they're going to stop in every intersection, and they're going to get priority. And authorized vehicles are like maintenance vehicles from the county, and they're going to get priority in this case. So based on the geometry, we also have divided some of the cases which are isolated cases. Case A, SOP, which we have 23 intersection. Case B, 7 intersection. Case C, 3 intersection, and unique cases. As I mentioned, as you can see in the picture, the center lane, that's the busway, and we have gates for the busway. So talking about the isolated case, so for the isolated case is, as the name speaks, for the isolated intersection, you do not have any intersections towards the right or left of the intersection. There's no adjacent corridor, there's no impacted. It's all by itself. That's the name we have, isolated case. Then case A. Case A, this is one of the most complicated cases for this project. Why? Because you see, we have the busway. Beside the busway, we have a corridor where the AADT is 90,000. So that's a very congested corridor, US 1. And the distance between the US 1 corridor and the busway is very minimal. And you have gates. So as the busway is a north and south corridor, and US 1 is also north and south, so when the busway is going through the intersection, even US 1, north and south, they can go through. However, the left turn, which is the northbound left turn on US 1, and southbound right turn is not allowed. Why? Because the gates are down and you cannot cross the intersection. Okay. Oh, for case A, there's another point I forgot to mention. All the intersections here, they have their own controllers. Like each intersection, they have the individual traffic controllers. For case B, there's one traffic controller which controls the busway and also the adjacent corridor. In this case, is the Old Dixie Highway. Case C is very similar to case A, but you have two adjacent corridors beside the busway, one towards the right, one towards the left, and all the intersections, they have individual traffic controllers. Okay, so how does this BRT process work? So as a bus is detected 1,000 feet from the busway through a geofence, then the geofence sends the information to a traffic controller that a bus is coming. And then the gates, which is vertical, the gates become horizontal, the gate comes down, and there's a VVDS, which is video vehicle detection system. Then it checks the intersection box, is there any vehicle or not? If there's no vehicle, then the bus gets the green. As the bus gets the green, then the bus passes through the intersection, after which the gates, which are horizontal, becomes vertical, and the side street starts moving. For instance, as you see in this video, the bus is coming, it's detected, the gate comes down, the VVDS is checking the box, if it's clear or not. As the box is clear, the bus passes. As the bus passes, the gate goes up and the side street keeps moving now. So this is how the operation is going to look like. So again, this operation is complicated. Why? Because as you see, there's two, you cannot make a southbound right and a northbound left. There's no turn signs, and this makes it very complicated. So overall communication, we have 3 entities in this project, which is Miami-Dade County Traffic Signals and Signs Division, Miami-Dade Transit, and Florida DOT District 6. So you can see the black line is for existing components, and the blue lines are for new components. So there's a lot of new communication and components which are coming in this project. As you see, before there was no communication between the busway and the transit, Miami-Dade Transit, but now they are making all those communication possible. In terms of operation plan, for the weekday, we are going to have a headway during the AM and PM peak of 7.5 minutes, which is every 7.5 minutes you will see a BRT bus. And during the weekend, it's every 30 minutes. So this is how the operation schedule is going to look like. I don't want to get into the details, but this is the main point here. So in this slide, you will see the green dots where the local bus are stopping in all the intersections, in all the bus stops, but the limited buses, they're stopping it at only 14 stations. Project milestone. So this project started in spring of 2017 when the PD&E study started. Right now we are in fall of 2024, which was we anticipated to complete this project in fall of 2024. However, due to labor, material, and weather events, it has impacted this project, and it's estimated to be completed in 2025. Okay, so what is CH's role in this project? We are owner's representative. We represent Miami-Dade County Traffic Signals and Signs Division. What do? We collaborate with the project CEI. We work with the contractor, which is the design build firm in this case. And now the contractor is responsible for operating and maintaining the entire system. So now we are trying to help them how we can make this smooth transition, because in the end of the day, Miami-Dade County is going to operate and maintain the system, which is CHA, we will be operating and maintaining the system. So again, now in conclusion, again, we have this blue box here. As I mentioned, in terms of these 5 points, how is it going to be impacted? So in terms of transit reliability, of course, with the dedicated busway, it's going to improve the reliability, right? How about transit safety? With the integration of gate arms, and as per American Public Transportation Association, traveling by public transportation is 10 times safer per mile than traveling in a private vehicle. What about environmental sustainability? We are using electric buses for this project. So the use of electric bus, and also as per APTA, which is again American Public Transportation Association, public transit use reduce nation's carbon emission by 63 million metric ton annually. What about, does it promote transit use? I believe so. Why? Because we have dedicated busways, we have new BRT station, we have park and ride facility, and if you see all of this, it's going to attract people to use transit. And how about impact to the local economy? As per APTA, 87% of trips on public transit have direct positive impact on the local economy. Again, this is one of the most advanced BRT systems in the world. It enhances connectivity and accessibility. It's one of the first BRT systems in the nation that uses gate arms at intersections for added safety. Overall, it enhances transit service. Again, thank you all for your attention. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sultan. At this time, we are going to open the floor for any questions. There's going to be a mic going around. We're going to wait until the mic is actually passed to ask the question. This is for our members on the virtual. So, looks like Catherine.
Quick question for Dr. Ali. As an estimate, how long do you estimate it would take to get from one end of the 20-mile section to the other end using BRT versus with a personal vehicle?
That's a good question. I have not calculated, but one thing I can tell you, it's going to cut your travel time significantly. But by how much, I have not done that calculation. But it's going to cut your travel time by a good amount.
Good deal.
As I mentioned, the AADT along US 1 is 90,000, and we have a lot of signals. So, just think.
Thank you. My second question is for Brian Purvis and Chad Hendon. Hero and Champ have a couple of areas where they coincide the limits. I just wanted to see if you could talk a bit about how Champ and Hero work together, especially with your advanced warning. I think it's a great impact to safety.
All right, that's me. So back in July, we expanded our system, and we are overlapping with Hero a little bit more. One of the things we're looking to do with the ATMS system is integrate it with our Verizon Reveal tracking system. They have an ALAD system. Right now, they're two separate entities, so you have to kind of be logged into two different platforms to see that. So that's one of the efficiencies that with when they get the new ATMS system that they're building in. GDOT has full access to our system now, so it's just a matter of getting that put in. The more important one is communication. We recently upgraded from a proprietary system, radio system, to a Harris platform, which is 800 megahertz and long-term 700. Thanks. Long-term evolution LTE network. Before, if we were working something, the Atlanta TMC was dispatching Hero. The Champ dispatchers in the district were dispatching Champ. They were communicating via Teams and phones and emails. Now we're all on the same radio system, so we're in the process of integrating that communication platform. Should have it upgraded probably in the next month, where we can switch to their talk groups, they can switch to ours, and we're interoperable. The communication is the biggest efficiency. The second one will be getting the vehicle dispatch efficiency put in place, but that's how we look to integrate those. Thanks, Data Nerd.
Okay, my question is for Christina and Christopher. Does the AWESOM notify the reviewer and approver to make a decision within a time frame, say 48 hours?
So we're planning to configure our design AWESOM in a way where you can configure how much you want to notify. And so depending on like what thresholds it hits, it'll notify the reviewer at a certain rate. So it'll give them an initial time frame, and then every day it'll notify them until they approve it. So that's all configurable, and so the end users or the managers of that platform can add in how much they want to notify the approver.
And related to that, if it doesn't get approved within a certain time frame or the person is out of office, does it go to a secondary approver?
Yeah, absolutely. So if, on the mock-ups that we show, we always request 2 contacts for that exact reason. So if somebody's on vacation or if they're out of office, it'll default to that second contact and notify them to approve it.
And lastly, what happens if you need to modify the form? Do you have to submit a new form, or is there an opportunity to make adjustments?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Right now, if you need to modify the form, you have to submit an update form. So in the awesome space, like if you have to change the time or you have to change the type of work, you would either have to submit an update form or a new form altogether. So it just depends on what's changing between the original form and whatever you have to update.
All right, thank you.
Should I go?
Sir.
Okay, I've got a question for Sultan. So with this, all these gated intersections along the South Dade BRT way, even with all the advanced detection and the clearances and the video confirmation, I imagine this is going to create, has a possibility to create backups at the crossing arterials, especially where they intersect with US 1, which is, what, a couple hundred feet away from the busway. Have you all evaluated what the impacts will be on those crossing arterials when the busway is given the green light? And if so, is there going to be any attempt to regulate the speed of the BRT vehicles to try to minimize the disruptions at the crossing arterials when the gates come down?
Great question. So every transit preferential treatment, whether it's BRT, transit signal priority, there's always delays for the side street. In this case, we have adjacent corridor and we have side street. So we are trying to prioritize the transit way. So with the feature of gates, we are going to add delay, and that's obvious. We are going to add 30 seconds of extra delay. Why? Because the gate, takes 10 seconds to come down, 10 seconds for the bus to pass, 10 seconds for the gates to get up. So we are already adding 30 seconds. But again, the question is, who are we trying to prioritize here? And it's a great question. And, I'm not one of the policymakers, so I won't be able to, give you an exact answer. But any bus preferential treatment will, the side street and the adjacent corridor, they will always have delays. Again, who we are prioritizing. I don't know if I was able to answer your question.
Any other questions? Once. Go twice. Sold. All right, well, thank you very much. With that, our Mastering ITS conference continues, and we have a vendor showcase for the next 30 minutes until 3 p.m., and then at 3, come back right here for the next showcase of speakers. Thank you so much, and everything is awesome.